Christopher is a professor of medicine at Stanford University and the director of nutrition studies at the prestigious Stanford Prevention Research Center. He's one of the world's leading researchers on how our diet impacts our health.
People like the taste of meat and they want an excuse to eat it. Done.
So that does sound pretty tough. What would happen if you ate this way?
So if I got to do a study, I would certainly want to look at the microbiome. So the microbiome gets fed by
Which is all the bacteria in our gut.
Indigestible carbohydrates don't get digested in our upper small intestine. They all go to our colon, where the bacteria of the microbiome, the main source of bacteria in our body, eat that fiber for fuel. And it has, we're learning all about the microbiome and the potential health benefits. We've been doing a lot of studies on this. Meat, by definition, has no carbohydrate at all and no fiber. Fibers are carbohydrate-like substances, so you would get none. You'd probably be pretty constipated, but...
Could you live on this diet for, 6 months or a year? Like, does it give you all the sort of the essential nutrients that you need?
The more restrictive your diet is, the more likely you will have nutrient deficiencies. That none of those, fruits, grains, vegetables, none of them have all the nutrients. You need a variety in your diet, and you could not get that from a meat-only diet.
The most commonly cited claim for why you should follow this diet is apparently improvements in autoimmune conditions and type 2 diabetes. And there are also claims around weight loss. What are your thoughts on that?
Weight loss would be easier to answer because when you have such a restrictive diet, you might be hungry for a piece of bread. Nope, can't have that. Hungry for some beans. Nope, can't have that. Hungry for some vegetables. Nope, can't have that. Are you hungry for another piece of steak? In the long term, the balance that we're not getting here is that's excess protein and excess fat. So in the world of people with diabetes, it's well recognized that they have 3 times the heart disease rate of people without diabetes. So if
3 times the heart disease rate, so a huge increase.
And heart disease is the #1 cause of death in the US. So if you're addressing the diabetes by avoiding the carbs and having the saturated fat, you're setting yourself up for other health consequences as a result of your strategy.
Now, obviously, there are animals that do live a carnivore diet, right? So there are probably people hitting here with like their cats wandering around behind them. And I think they are eating something quite similar to...
And they have different teeth and a different intestinal tract structure that we don't have.
And are there any studies about the carnivore diet that tell us what happens when you follow it?
So there really aren't any studies. There aren't any large groups of people that have followed this that you could track. We have lots of studies where they've tracked hundreds of thousands of people for a long time, and there's really not very many carnivores to study that way. There was one small study that came out fairly recently in the last few years that was a social media study. So they put it out on social media to have people self-report what they were doing. And it had to be people who self-reported being on the diet for at least 6 months. So there's a problem there because that's fairly short term. There is enough scientific literature to support that you don't need the randomized controlled trial of carnivores to be able to answer the question, partly acknowledging that you couldn't get a trial like that accomplished.
So Christopher, what's your verdict on the carnivore diet?
Yeah, my verdict here is not just thumbs down, but double thumbs down.